Catching a largemouth bass can be a bit tricky, but today I'm here to talk about how to get a good bass on the end of your line. No matter if you're a pond fisherman or you have a boat of your own and you fish on lakes, I will be demonstrating 3 techniques that have landed me plenty of fish in both ponds and lakes alike. The 3 techniques I will be talking about today are square bill crankbaits, soft plastic flukes, and jigs. This will be a 5-minute speech demonstrating how to catch bass in different situations. There is not a set time of how long it takes to catch a bass. This is usually dependent on the time of year and the time of day. I will just be demonstrating the different lures in the pool so you can translate this technique into your local lake or pond. Who am I? I am an avid fisherman who will be on the Texas A&M bass fishing team next semester. I have a couple trophy bass that I will be showing later in the speech that were caught with the techniques that I will be showing also. As you can see, this is a guide for new fishermen and also experienced fishermen to catch fish. So grab your gear and let's toss a line in the water. Let's first talk about square bill crankbaits. Square bill crankbaits are a confidence bait of mine, but it's all about condition. The condition you need to look for are depth, cover, and also if the fish are feeding on bait fish. So let's talk about the first one. The depth. The depth needs to be in between 2 and 5 feet because the square bill crankbait will dive underneath the water depending on how fast you reel. Second is the cover you need to look for. Rocks and stumps are really good because what triggers the big bites is whenever you can bounce the crankbait into them and get a good deflection. Also, you need to analyze the fish and see if they're feeding on bait fish. Since you are reenacting a bait fish with your crankbait, it wouldn't do you much good to fish with a crankbait if the fish weren't feeding on bait fish. If the bass aren't feeding on healthy bait fish, then we have another lure in store for you that might just do the trick. The fluke is a soft plastic bait, unlike the crankbait, which is a hard plastic body. The fluke also imitates bait fish, but it imitates a wounded bait fish, unlike the crankbait, who's a healthy swimming bait fish. The bass might bite on this one over the crankbait because it looks like an easy target since it's more or less dead, or that's what you're creating. With a couple twitches of the rod tip and pauses, you create this action that the bass just can't stand. Even though a fluke is a very reliable way to catch fish, sometimes you just need to trigger a bigger bite. The jig is a crawfish imitator and has a very big profile in the water, which usually keeps the small fish away. A jig is much like a crankbait where you need cover to fish it. A jig is really good to pitch right next to a pole or a stump where fish might be hiding, and you just give a little hop off the bottom. Fish can be very predatory, and this will trigger that big strike you need to win that tournament. As we just discussed, the crankbait, fluke, and jig are all real good ways to catch fish, but how about what color you use? There are many colors that match many different types of water. The more clear the water is, the more you want to match the color of what you see in the pond or lake. You need to match the color of the bait fish if you're fishing for that, or match the color of what the crawfish would be if you're messing with that. A watermelon color, which is green with black specks, is always a good safe bet, but if you want to have a little more flash, the little chartreuse yellow tail will create a flash in murky water. Okay, now let's review what we've covered today. We have learned how to fish a crankbait, a fluke, and a jig. And also what color to use and what type of water you're fishing in. The only thing left is to toss a line in the water and catch a fish.